When we think of modern industrial system, we think of mass production, standardized parts, and the assembly line. But it wasn't always this way. At the turn of the 20th century, manufacturing was still largely a craft-based industry with workers using their skills to produce goods once at a time. It was slow, inefficient, and expensive. But all of that changed with the introduction of a new system of management, developed by Frederick Winslow Taylor and adopted by one man who would revolutionize the way we make things, Henry Ford. Frederick Taylor was a mechanical engineer who had developed a new way of thinking about work. He believed that by breaking down tasks into smaller, simpler parts and by measuring and analyzing every step of the process, it would be possible to increase productivity and efficiency to levels never seen before. This approach, known as Taylorism or scientific management, was controversial, but it will prove to be incredibly influential. Henry Ford was an American businessman who had founded the Ford Motor Company in 1903 in Detroit, Michigan. He was looking for a way to produce cars faster and cheaper than his competitors, and he saw Taylorism as the answer to his problem. In 1913, Ford introduced the first moving assembly line which revolutionized the way cars were made. Instead of workers moving around a factory to build a car, the car moved on a conveyor belt while workers performed specific tasks at each station. Ford created the division of labor by breaking down the process into smaller, simpler steps. Taylorism also introduced the idea of time and motion studies, which involved breaking down work processes into individual steps and measuring the time it took to complete each step. This allowed managers to identify and eliminate inefficiencies in the manufacturing process, further increasing productivity. At the same time, he paid his workers higher wages than most other manufacturers, which allowed them to afford the cars they were producing. The impact on Ford's assembly line was enormous. It allowed him to produce cars faster and cheaper than ever before, and to sell them at a price that more people could afford. By 1924, he had reduced the price of the Model T, his most famous car, to just $290, making it the most affordable car on the market. But this process also had major downsides. The first one was decreased worker autonomy. Taylorism's approach involved managers closely controlling and supervising workers to ensure that were following the prescribed methods. This led to a decrease in worker autonomy and decision-making power, as workers were expected to follow strict procedures which were often exhausting. The second major downside is increased worker dissatisfaction. Taylorism emphasis on efficiency and productivity often came at the expense of worker satisfaction. Workers were expected to perform repetitive tasks with little variation or creativity, leading to feelings of boredom and dissatisfaction. Furthermore, workers also worked for hours on end, making this job not only physically but also mentally exhausting. The Model T was Ford's first automobile mass produced on modeling assembly lines with completely interchangeable parts. Marketed to the middle class, so almost everybody drove a Model T back then. In conclusion, the effects of Taylorism on the workplace and society have been both significant and controversial. While it has led to increased productivity and efficiency, it has also been criticized for its dehumanizing and demotivating effects on workers. The principles of scientific management have been applied in various industries and have undergone several modifications over time, but its legacy still resonates in modern day management practices. Well, I hope you've enjoyed, and as always, have a fantastic day. Bye!